This story is an emotional one that all parents should watch. At the end of this story, you would never send your child stay with any of your relatives. If you bring any child to this world, it is your responsibility to take care of them, and not the responsibility of your relative. Let's get into the story. It is now 2 years since Sarah arrived Lagos to live with Auntie Catherine. She left the village when she completed her junior secondary school year 3, and she was supposed to proceed to senior secondary school. She was 13, and she was the smartest girl in her class, having taken first position right from junior secondary school year 1. If there was anything Sarah loves doing, it was schooling, because she knew that was the only way to rescue her poor mother from poverty. Her father was late, and her mother only manages to pay her school fees, even in government schools that are not expensive. Feeding and clothing was a problem too, but her mother does her best. It was just that they never had enough, as sometimes they sleep without knowing where their next meal will come from. So it was concluded that she would go to Lagos and live with Auntie Catherine, who was expected to help in raising her in the proper way and to also put her through school. This would relieve her mother of the stress, but in return, Sarah would be her housemaid. There was a strong promise that she would be allowed to continue her education in Lagos, and no one had expected that anything bad would happen to her. I know you will not allow my child to suffer. She is your own child too. Please take care of her. Mary, Sarah's mother, had pleaded with her sister Catherine. I promise you will not regret giving your daughter to me. I know you are doing me a huge favor, and I will repay you back by making sure that Sarah attends the best schools with my own children. I will even train her up to university level. Auntie Catherine and Mary share the same parents. Auntie Catherine married a very rich husband, and they both live in Lekki, but Mary's husband, who was a bus driver, died years ago when he was involved in a road accident. Since then, she had refused to remarry. You know she is my only child. Please, my sister, don't disappoint me, Mary once again pleaded with Catherine before she left Enugu with Sarah. I promise you, my sister, don't worry yourself, Auntie Catherine responded back then. 2 years has passed since these promises were made. Indeed, Lagos has become a second hell for Sarah. She is not going to school, and her mates in the village are now in senior secondary school year 2. Auntie Catherine has refused to register her in school, even if it is government school. Auntie Catherine's 4 children attend the best school in Lekki, where school fees is 2 million naira per term. But instead of school, Sarah has become a hawker. She has been hawking Zobo for the past 2 years. It is not that Auntie Catherine actually needs the money from Zobo, and Sarah has often wondered why she is forced into hawking instead of school. Her husband is rich. She is also a director in the Ministry of Works. They have everything money can buy. I just don't know why I'm hawking, if it is not wickedness. Sarah's thought would often wander. Sarah is now 15 and she has grown physically. She has started seeing her monthly visitor, and she often uses her old clothes cut into pieces as pad, since no one ever cares about her or to give her money for such things. She was beginning to be aware of herself as a woman, and she knows that time was running fast. Her education and future was hanging in the balance, and this gives her sleepless nights. Oh, I wish I can just go back to the village, even if it means managing life with my mother. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing here, just suffering every day. Sarah said to herself one day when she had taken a break from hawking to rest under a tree. She came out that day with 5,000 naira worth of Zobo, but she was only able to sell 10 bottles so far, so she took a break to rest because the sun was so hot and it made her sick. Oh, Tay, I will just collapse and die under the sun. I don't even know why I'm still alive. I feel like taking my own life. Sarah was talking to herself under the tree. That day, she had gone to hawk at Oberlende. There was so much hold-up, yet people were not buying her cold zobo like before. If she goes home with unsold zobo, Auntie Catherine will beat her and make her starve for 2 days. So she had to find a way to finish selling the remaining ones. "Let me go and hustle again. It's already twerp. God, please help me today," Sarah said as she left the shade of the tree. A man who was driving in a Toyota Land Cruiser SUV called Sarah. As usual, she rushed with speed to sell zobo to him. "How much is your zobo per bottle?" the man asked. The man is very young, probably in his late 20s. "It's 209 per bottle, sir. However, if you are buying 6 bottles, I will give you a discount of 209, meaning you will only pay 1,009 instead of 1,209. I make the zobo myself, and I can assure you it was produced in a very hygienic environment, and it is healthy for your body too," Sarah said with very clean English. The young man in the car was impressed by her confidence and marketing talent. He smiled at her. Soon, the hold-up started to move and the man drove forward, and this made Sarah run and follow the car. The young man appeared ready to buy, and Sarah does not want to lose the business. The hold-up continued to move, and the man was still trying to talk to her and to navigate the tight road. Stopping for too long would mean that other motorists would yell at him to move, so he continued driving forward. When Sarah eventually caught up with him, he opened the car door and asked her to hop in, and she did. When Sarah entered the car, the air conditioner in it cooled her body, and for the first time in years, she felt like a human being. "Oh my God, is this the heaven you spoke about in the Bible?" Sarah asked. Her voice was audible, and the young man heard her. "Did you say that?" the man asked. "I was feeling sick under the sun, so the freezing temperature in the car relieved me," she answered. "Oh, that's fine. You speak so well. Do you go to school?" the man asked. The car has gone far from Oberlende as they drove towards Lekki. Tollgate. "I don't go to school. I used to go to school, but I stopped since I arrived Lagos. This is what I do for my auntie." Sarah went on to narrate her ordeal in Lagos to the man who has now introduced himself as Michael. Their conversation became very interesting, such that she did not feel like leaving the car again. "I want to take you to your house and drop you off, Michael," said. "No, sir. My auntie will kill me if she sees me with a man. In fact, I have to go back to Oberlende to finish selling the zobo, or I will be made to starve for 2 days." "Sir, please, are you still buying the zobo?" Sarah asked. "Wow, why would your auntie starve you for having a bad business day?" "You know what, just load the entire thing in my boot. Now, here is 50,000 naira for you. Give part of it to your auntie, then keep the rest for yourself," Michael said. Sarah was so happy that she jumped and hugged Michael, who was trying to park the car for her to leave. He eventually found a space and parked, and she came down. That day turned out to be her best business day. As Michael drove off, she counted the money carefully and removed 45,000 naira for herself, while she gave the remaining one to Auntie Catherine when she got home. But apart from the money, Sarah discovered that Michael put his complimentary card in the envelope of naira notes he gave to her. It contained his address and phone number, and there is a note on it which said, "Please come to the address on this card and see me tomorrow." Sarah slept that night, thinking if she should visit Michael or not. Visiting a stranger in this Lagos could be dangerous. God, please guide my heart and actions. Sarah prayed as she slept off. "Hello, Mummy." Sarah was speaking to her mother on the phone. "I have sent the money. Let the point of sale person give you 40,000 naira. I also sent the charges," Sarah said excitedly. She was so proud that she had sent money to her mother, no matter how small. It was her first time of giving her mother anything since she left the village 2 years ago. Auntie Catherine has never considered it right to send anything to Mary. "I am so happy to hear your voice, Mummy. Please manage the money. I will send you more when God blesses me again," Sarah said. "Definitely. God will bless you, my daughter. If I am the one who fed you with my breasts, you will not be put to shame," Sarah's mother said. Sarah dropped the call as her mother was still praying. She knows that her mother can turn a phone call into a church service, and besides, she borrowed the phone from the point-of-sale agent, where she went to send part of the money Michael gave her to her mother. The time now was 9 a.m, and she already had her zobo loaded in her bowl, ready to proceed to Oberlende to hustle for Auntie Catherine. Just at that moment, the thought of Michael came to her heart. Should I visit him or not? Lagos is a very funny place, and Michael is still a stranger to me. Sarah tells herself as she lifted her bowl of zobo and trekked to Lekki City Gate, where she normally boards a bus to Oberlende. She saves some of her transport fare so that she can use it to eat okpa in the afternoon, because Auntie Catherine never gives her money for food. So she treks some parts of her journey to the market every day. Soon, she arrived at Admiralty Roundabout, where she normally takes a bus to Oberlende. She stood contemplating what to do next. The temptation to visit Michael was so high and difficult to control. He is rich and appears real and caring, but does she actually have a better alternative? She thinks Michael is worth all the risks. This is Lagos, but the risk is worth taking. Michael has been good to me. I will look for him, Sarah said to herself as she jumped into the bus and headed for Victoria Island. The address on Michael's complimentary card says No 4 Wisdom Street, C. Soon, the bus dropped her off by the road and she started looking for the compound. It was not long before she located Michael's house because the streets of VI are well paved and numbered. Sarah knocked at the black gate with fear in her heart. Apart from having a very tall fence like Kirikiri Prison, the compound is also fenced with electric cables. 2 big dogs barked from the inner compound when they heard Sarah's knock, and their voices sounded like those of 10 angry lions. She was scared, but she stood Jidibeh with her feminine heart. God, please help me and favor me in this compound. I shall come out of it alive, Sarah said to herself. Soon the gate screeched and opened. Unlike their own gate at Lekki, she heard no sound at all. Everything was so smooth and gentle as the iron gate passed like a breeze. It was Michael who opened the gate, and he was very happy to see Sarah's face. He was wearing a pair of black boxers and a white singlet with a pair of bathroom slippers. He did not look like a rich man. Wow! Come right in, Sarah. I didn't know you would come. I thought you would be scared to look for me, Michael said. But Sarah did not respond immediately as she was still trying to take in the beauty of the compound. It's a 3-story building bedecked in shimmering white paint that dazzled in the reflection of the early morning sun. There was a fleet of cars parked under a large shade. There was a lush green garden that made Sarah remember her mother's farm back in Enugu. In the garden, Sarah saw sumptuous fruits like apples, tomatoes, and oranges. She used her eyes to eat all of them. This place is like heaven, Sarah said when she finally managed to get hold of herself. Just like a chicken arriving at a new compound, Sarah walked carefully with her bowl of zobo on her head. She treaded carefully, as if her legs would make the gold-looking compound dirty. I mean, is this your house? It's so large and exquisite, Sarah tells Michael. It's actually one of my 5 houses. It belonged to my parents, but they are now mine since they are late. They died 6 months ago in a plane crash, Michael said, with a flash of sorrow in his face. He was now ushering Sarah into the palatial mansion "Oh God, I'm so sorry about your loss. I can't begin to imagine how that feels or what you must have gone through," Sarah said. "It's fine. I have overcome the pain. God helped heal my heart," Michael responded. Sarah sat on the floor and placed her bowl of zobo beside her as soon as they were inside the mansion. She was not quick to jump on the beautiful chairs in the large room. She was scared. "Why are you sitting on the floor? Use the chair. Don't be scared. My house won't bite you," Michael joked. It was only then she jumped on one of the soft cushions, like a toddler. Michael helped her to load her zobo in his deep freezer. "I will pay for it. You don't have to go to Oberlendi today," he promised. Sarah was so happy that she jumped and hugged Michael very tightly. She hasn't been with a man before. She actually forgot herself, but she quickly gained control over her senses again and let go of him as quickly as if she was dropping a hot coal. "How old are you?" Michael asked. He wanted to be sure of her age and how to approach her henceforth. He knew it would be wrong to take advantage of a desperate teenager who has been through so much in life. "I will be 16 in a month's time. I'm still a child," Sarah said, with a beautiful smile on her face. "Wow, you look like a 20-year-old, and you are wiser than your age," Michael said. He was right. Sarah now has full breasts and looks mature enough that it would be difficult to know that she is a minor. "I'm still a child, but I have been toughened by adversity. I don't look like what I have been through," Sarah said. "I was your age when I first traveled to Canada for my first degree. I only returned to Nigeria because of my parents' death. Now I'm lonely and need someone to keep me company. I'm my parents' only child. Can you help keep me company always? Can you do that for me?" Michael asked. "I will be happy to keep you company," Sarah promised. It was difficult to turn him down, even though he still comes off as a stranger to her. But she reasoned that taking a risk with a stranger is better than her aunt's house, where she is treated as a slave. It was the first time a man will be asking her to be a close friend. She was beginning to know what it means to be admired by a man. She was feeling like a real lady. "Concerning your education, I'm going to hire private teachers to prepare you for your West African Examinations Council and Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board examinations. If you pass the examinations, I will send you to the university." Michael tells Sarah. She almost fainted out of happiness. She could not believe her ears, and she felt as if she was dreaming. She only completed her junior secondary school year, 3 back in Enugu, but she was ready to take a chance on herself and work hard and pass the exams without attending real classes for senior secondary. "Thank you so much, Uncle Michael," Sarah said, while kneeling down with hot tears of joy in her eyes. "Just call me Michael. Remove the uncle," Michael said as both of them hugged passionately. Sarah has started to feel a connection with him. For the first time in her life, someone who is not her parent was showing her unconditional care. It felt like heaven. "But what about my auntie and the Zobo business? She will never set me free. Left for me alone, I will gladly leave that hell and live with you. I feel like a chained slave under her roof," Sarah said. She had started crying again, and this time they were real tears of anguish. Michael felt her pain. "Stop crying. I will handle your aunt. I mean, you can keep making the zobos and keep telling her you are going to hustle for her at Oberlendi, but in reality, you will come here daily with your bowl of zobo and load it in my fridge, or we throw it away. I can't drink all the zobos daily, but I will pay you daily so you can pay your wicked aunt. Let's make her believe you are still hustling, but you will stay here with me daily," Michael said as both of them laughed out loud. "Oh God, I don't know how to thank you. You are a lifesaver. You are my joy giver." Sarah was crying as she spoke. "That's the point, Sarah. I like helping people. There is nothing in this life. You have not lived today until you have done something for someone who can never repay you, Michael said. Michael looked at his wristwatch and the time was already 12. I enjoy talking to you so much that I don't even know the passage of time anymore. Let's go out. I want to take you out for shopping. I want to give you your first makeovers, Michael said as both of them stood up. Soon, they drove out of the compound in Michael's SUV and headed for a boutique where he bought so many expensive clothes and shoes for Sarah. He also bought her an iPhone. When she arrived at Auntie Catherine's house that evening, no one recognized her. She looked so transformed that it was obvious that she was not coming from Oberlendi. Sarah has serious questions to answer, and this could be a very dangerous night for her. If I die, I die. If I live, I live, Sarah said as she stepped into the house to face Auntie Catherine. Your mother called me to thank me for the 40,000 naira you sent to her, Madam of the house. So you have been stealing my money and sending it to your poor, wretched mother? Auntie Catherine asked Sarah. She was visibly angry and boiling putu like a pot of porridge on fire. Already, Sarah has received at least 7 hot slaps from her since she started questioning her. The slaps produced stars from her eyes. It is not your money, Sarah answered. She knew it would be very difficult to prove her answer. She realized she made a grievous mistake by not telling her mother not to let anyone know she sent her money. Now Mary, in her innocence, called Catherine to say thank you, but she has put Sarah in hot soup. You say what? It is not my money? So where did you get such huge amount of money? Have you started following men around? Auntie Catherine asked as she delivered another hot slap to Sarah's face. The sound rang in Sarah's 2 ears like the sound of school bells. Her eyes were turning red and her face swollen, and one could clearly see the marks of Catherine's fingers on her tender face. Someone gave it to me. It was a gift of 50,000 naira. So I sent part of it to my mother, Sarah said. She was weeping, but somehow her heart was so strong. She was prepared for the worst, but her nose gushed with mucus, and she was getting weaker and weaker. You liar! You are a thief! You stole my money and sent to your poor poverty-stricken mother! You poor idiot! How dare you steal under my roof! Auntie Catherine barked like a dog as she delivered more hot slaps on Sarah's face. Sarah could no longer hold her lips together, as they were swollen and saliva rushed from her mouth as if she was an imbecile. She was passing out gradually. Sarah was asked to kneel down and raise her 2 hands like a school kid under punishment. They were in the living room, and Auntie Catherine's 4 children surrounded her with kobokos, waiting for their mother's order to beat Sarah. By the way, who bought you all those new clothes? Auntie Catherine asked. She stood up and pulled Sarah's top dress and tore it and revealed her bra. She pulled at the bra and the straps unhooked, and this made Sarah naked from the top. She felt ashamed and covered her body with her arms. Auntie Catherine's children laughed at her. She wept bitterly. Auntie Catherine went to the fridge in the living room and returned with a chilled bottle of Coke. She opened it and took a sip before resuming her interrogation of Sarah. I'm asking you, Ituru. Ooh, you are looking at me like Anumpama. Answer me at once, she barked at Sarah. Auntie Catherine poured the remaining Coke on Sarah's head, and the ice in it made her shiver in cold. It was a painful moment of being humiliated like a slave. I got the clothes from the same man who gave me 50,000 naira, Sarah said. Her voice was now very low, and she got weaker mentally and physically because of the endless torture. You have a boyfriend under my roof? No, Auntie. He is just a stranger, Sarah said, with painful tears in her eyes. "Shut that dirty hole you call mouth. You have been sleeping around and collecting money from men. Okawa ya akawa na, ashawa." Auntie Catherine yelled at the top of her voice. She then lifted her hand up in the air and landed the empty bottle of Coke on Sarah's head. It broke into tiny pieces and formed crystal shards on the milk-coloured floor tiles. Sarah fell and fainted instantly. "Beat her," Auntie Catherine tells her children. "Beat her until she confesses the truth," she said as she left to her room. And then the children descended on Sarah with their 4 korbakos. Lashes upon lashes landed on her body. To them, it was fun, but to Sarah, it was hell. They beat her until her body opened and blood rushed on the floor. When Auntie Catherine returned from her room, she touched Sarah and saw that she was no longer moving. She became scared. "I will be in trouble if she dies under my roof. I have to do something," she said, and unzipped her purse and produced her car key. Auntie Catherine managed to lift Sarah into her car, drove to Admiralty Roundabout and dumped her body there like a bag of sand. She returned to her house and slept as if nothing happened. Sarah was left outside to die in the open cold of Lagos. It was during Harmattan and the cold was particularly biting and sharp like razor blade. She remained unconscious until 12 a.m. when she came to her senses again. She painfully lifted her right arm and touched the sand around her and realized she was outside. And then she became very scared because everywhere was calm and dark. But Sarah was able to remember that Michael bought her an iPhone and she had hid it in her pant and wore her black tight undie on it so that no one would find it. Promptly, she dipped her hand into her undies and removed the phone and immediately dialed Michael's number. "I'm dying at Admiralty Roundabout." That was all Sarah could say to Michael. She was truly dying. "I'm on my way," Michael said, and in less than 30 minutes, he arrived with his jeep and drove her to the hospital. "My God, you mean your own blood relative did this to you?" Michael asked. Sarah had been attended to by the doctors, and she felt much better. She was narrating the story to Michael, who sat on her hospital bed. "That your aunt. I'm going to teach her a bitter lesson. I will show her the difference between Egba and Egba," Michael said while holding Sarah's hand. He removed his phone and called the Commissioner of Police, who is his friend. "I have a job for you," Michael tells the police chief. "It is now 2 weeks since Sarah got hospitalized because of the torture she went through in the hands of Auntie Catherine. She has now fully recovered and permanently lives with Michael in Victoria Island. Gradually, her life was changing for the better, as she has everything money can buy at her beck and call. She has also started her lessons in preparation for her West African Examinations Council and Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board examinations, as Michael had promised to train her in the university. Finally, her life has picked up, and the future looks very bright indeed. She has also started to feel something in her heart for Michael, and both of them are getting closer to each other. They have not touched each other or done anything, but their emotions are running very high, like high-voltage electric current. Yet they have tried to control themselves. Michael strongly believes that at 16, Sarah was still underage, so he was prepared to wait till she was 18 before even making his affection known to her. In the meantime, he was focused on changing her life for the better. Back in Enugu, Sarah's mother suddenly became restless and uneasy. Mary had terrible premonitions about her daughter. It first started with an unusual pepper body, which made her to hallucinate for many days. Then it was followed by a terrible dream about Sarah. "I know myself. Whenever this happens, something is wrong with a family member," Mary said